Hey guys, today you're here with Doug, aka The Real One, coming at you today with another quick product video in the continuation of our small product series. In our intro video, I highlighted the differences between your standard SATA-based SSD and the newer NVMe standard, with a focus on Intel's 750 series PCIe X4 NVMe 1.2TB SSD drive. In the benchmarking video, I showcased various synthetic tests to display the differences between the two drives. But now for one of the videos you're probably here for. Does gaming benefit by moving to the NVMe standard? As always, I do attempt apples-to-apples comparisons wherever I can, and while the nature of games such as MMOs inherently have variance due to server load, the amount of players, game coding, etc., I've attempted to be as equal in test replication as possible. While either of these drives should give you similar game performance from a CPU and GPU-based perspective, today we're solely focused on load times. I've sped up some of the longer game clips to shorten the total video length. I've of course scaled the counting timer appropriately in relation. First up, we have the popular game World of Warcraft Legion. At around the 41 gig install size, it's not the largest game out there today, but it's a great candidate for making our drives request lots of various size sound and texture data. Here I simply timed the test from the moment I logged in until I completed the circuit, which consists of login, character load to the warrior class hall, a descent to New Dalaran, ascent to the class hall, descent to Stormheim, ascent to class hall, and repeat. I did this process for each zone and legion: Dalaran, Stormheim, Azuna, Val'sharah, High Mountain, and Suramar, then garrison Hearth to my Warlord's Era garrison, teleported to Ashran, accessed Tanaan Jungle, used the portal to Orgrimmar, the portal to New Dalaran, then back to the class hall, making a round trip. As we can see by even 2 or 3 minutes into the video, the Intel drive is pulling ahead by a noticeable margin. By the end, Intel is the clear winner here, with a substantial impact on actual game time. For a typical MMO player, this could amount to a few minutes a day and 20 plus minutes per week, about a dungeon run of save time. Moving on, we check another MMO in both the console and PC space, Final Fantasy XIV. Well, again, not the largest game out there at only 23 gig after a single expansion, I was curious if the speed of a high-end PC would have any effect on a very streamlined and efficient engine designed to also run on PS4 as in other systems. Here I performed a similar test to WoW, where I timed the game from load to character login and teleported from the endgame hub of Idleshire to the residential area of Limsa Lumensa Mist to Limsa Lower Decks, then to New Gridania, Ul'dah, Ishgard Foundation, back to Mordona, and finally again to Idleshire. We can see that load times are already optimized, and despite being a faster drive, the Intel SSD times are nearly identical to the SanDisk SATA-based SSD. At least in FF14, NVMe provides very little tangible benefit. For now, FF14's assets are not large enough to make an impactful difference, or they're already heavily optimized. Maybe we'll see a difference in Stormblood. Next up, we go down another avenue of Blizzard game, Diablo III. While only 15 gig, the game has decent texturing and a relatively small world, meaning you'll probably load the vast majority of the game while playing for a session or doing a rift. I again did a warping session from authentication to game launch, logging into Act 3 at Bastion's Keep. I then toured Sanctuary from the Keep to Act 1 New Tristram, then to Act 2 Hidden Camp, back-to-back spamming of Bastion's Keep for Acts 3 and 4, and to the Survivor's Enclave in Act 5. From there I went back to Act 1 and loaded into a field zone of Cemetery of the Forsaken, finally heading back to New Tristram for a brief world tour. As we can see by even this brief test, D3's engine, while moderately optimized, still relies on latency, CPU power, and storage speed. Using the Intel drive here nets us another major win, likely shaving minutes off per play session and provides significant results for you treasure hunters out there. Next up, we briefly look at the popular MOBA-esque game, Heroes of the Storm. While relatively light on system requirements, on the highest settings the game looks beautiful and is about 9 gigs in size. Thankfully though, the elements of this game are not terribly complex, and again it's nearly neck and neck for NVMe vs SATA devices. So in conclusion, you might ask which drive to choose. You can see that with my limited testing of games, we only had one brief loss from NVMe to SATA, one small win, and 2 significantly large wins, at least as far as I could test with the games I had access to. There's certainly an improvement to be had with gaming by going to the faster SSD and interface of NVMe, and it's great. Of course, if you start focusing on even larger games such as Shadows of Mordor, Fallout 4, which recently introduced nearly a 60GB HQ texture pack, I'd argue that the larger the game and the assets the game has, the bigger a difference you'll see by moving to NVMe. You may not need or notice it today, but I'll wager it'll play a significant role in the future as NVMe becomes more standardized and game install sizes continue to grow. But what if you don't game? Feel free to look forward to our next video where I highlight a sample of applications and workload scenarios to see if our drive makes any difference. As always, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more, and thanks for watching.